All right, while we're waiting for them to come in this morning, just go ahead and close your door and put a sign out, busy for the next 20, 30 minutes. That way you won't be interrupted. If you multitasking, if it's that important, go ahead and do what you were doing, and you can always circle back and grab this presentation. Don't split yourself this morning. Good morning to my YouTube channel. Let me give them a salutation. All right, they're in, so we're gonna get started. Fix my screen so I could see those chats as they come up. 1 second here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, jump in. Let me go ahead and put your greeting in as you come in this morning. Good to see you, Genevieve. Good to see you, TG. Oh, Terrence, what's happening, my brother? Good to see you. Are you still in the Chicagoland area? Good to see you, Cheryl. Good to see you, Mom. Good to see you. Got quite a few people coming in, so we're gonna, for the sake of time, we're gonna go ahead and get started this morning. It's a beautiful day here in St. Louis. So let's go with a 10-second moment of reset. Okay, right where you are, just take a big breath in, hold that breath. Now exhale and sit in the silence for 10 seconds. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's edition of Solutions Sunday, where we have a message. This message this morning is entitled, When It Feels Like Opposites Are Pulling You Apart. I'm Asar, Greg Stanton, also known as Asar. I'm your metaphysical mystic. So this morning, let's just dive right into this conversation or this introduction that I want to give you. So I've been in a 4 weeks. This is the fourth week series on Tuesday nights. Tuesdays we have what's known as we call it the living room, and I invite you out. But we've been dealing with the principles of the seven universal principles, and we're moving into the fourth week. So today I said, well, I'll introduce it on Sunday. So, whether you're joining us for the first time or you've been walking with us throughout this journey, welcome to a sacred space of truth, transformation, and what I like to call now thought. Here in Solutions for Living, we believe spirituality isn't about escaping life, it's about embodying it with wisdom and awareness and in alignment. So let's step into this morning's presentation by having a quick review. I want to review the three universal principles that we've already explored. The first principle that we explored 3 weeks ago was the principle of mentalism. You've probably heard it as all is mind. Here we discovered that divine mind is the source of all creation, and we each carry that spark, especially through the heart, not just the brain. We talked about the head heart alignment. Then the second week, we talked about the principle of correspondence. Some of you are familiar with it. You've probably heard it stated as above, so below, as within, so without. We explore here how your outer world reflects your inner world, your inner state, and how true change begins by changing your consciousness. So, whatever is showing up on the outside is a reflection of the thoughts, the beliefs you hold on the inside. And you got to know that the things on the outside can impact the inside. So, you have to be careful what you give your attention to. And then last week, we dealt with the law of vibration. Basically, this stated nothing rests, everything moves. There's nothing that is resting, everything is moving. We learned that everything, your words, your thoughts, your emotions, carry a frequency. And by turning your vibration or tuning it properly, you shift your life. And we really drilled in on last week on the the chain of thoughts, how things go from a thought to a word spoken to an emotion to a vibration held and ultimately a manifestation. A lot of people are trying to manifest things, but they don't know the chain that they have to make sure there's connections. If there's any missing piece there, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have a disconnect. So, have you ever felt like life was pulling you into two different directions at one time? Like you were standing at the edge of a breakthrough while simultaneously being on a battlefield or battling a breakdown. If so, you're not broken. A lot of people talk about being broken. You're not broken. What you're really probably in is what is known as polarity. And polarity is not your punishment, it's really your portal. So when success and insecurity shows up at the same time, you can have a problem. I'll give you an example of one of the clients I had some years ago. Um, Let me share that with you. Let me call her Maria, okay? For the sake of privacy, she's not on any of my calls, so none of you know her. She came to me after securing a major promotion, something she had prayed for, visualized for, and she had worked towards it for years. We had worked on it. From the outside, it looked like everything had aligned for her. And yet, just a few weeks in, she found herself overwhelmed, second guessing every decision, and battling a rising tide of imposter syndrome. She said to me, I thought success would silence my fear, but instead, it feels like the more I rise, the louder it gets. Can you feel that? That's what's known as polarity at work. She wasn't out of alignment. She wasn't failing. She was simply standing at one pole or one extreme of an external expansion while her internal belief system was still catching up. It's like it was buffering to get to where she was. So we explored. So I took some time and I explored three things with her. I explored confidence and insecurity are not enemies. Okay. You can be confident, but your insecurities, until they're worked through, can continue to show up. They are a degree of self perception. We talked about both can exist at once while um, not disqualifying her for the blessing, but can cause some internal turmoil. So that we're talking about how we have to be aware that inside of our lives, there's polarities, and sometimes they're opposites. Okay. But I told her the tension that she was feeling wasn't a sign to quit or that she had pursued something that she really didn't desire. I told her it was a sign that she was growing. Okay. And that's what this life is about. All of us, we are in earth school. We are growing. We grow through the things we go through. Okay, so we didn't try to cancel out the fear that she was speaking of. We worked on integrating it, understanding it, and gradually shifting her vibration toward the higher pole of the embodied worthiness, or that she deserved to be where she was. This is what is known as the law of polarity in motion. So, after um, having done this with her, she went on to be quite successful. But this morning, I want to ask you, how many of you have had a breakthrough in an area of your life, only to feel a breakdown of emotions rising at the same time? That's not contradiction, that's confirmation. The confirmation is that you're expanding. What do I mean? We live constantly between two truths. We live between two truths, that is polarity as divine design. A good scripture to jump off on this morning would be Isaiah 45 and 7. This scripture states, I form the light. Now check this out. Well, let's listen to this polarity. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now, some of us would just equate that to a God, but it says the law. The law forms the light and it creates the darkness. The law makes peace and it creates evil. Now, evil, those are two different ends of the same spectrum. He says, the scripture says, I, the Lord, do all these things, or I, the law, do all these things. Now, this verse is not about moral contradictions, it's about spiritual composition. It teaches us that Source, as the infinite being, creator of all things, expresses not only through us what we call light and peace, but it also brings contrast or expresses through contrast. It doesn't bring the contrast. We introduce the contrast in our life. Source does not introduce anything. We introduce it based on thoughts, based on actions, based on our beliefs. So it brings us, it presents to us the contrast of resistance and tension. Polarity, I would have you know, is not proof that something has gone wrong. So when you experience contrast, when you're dealing with polarity, it's not saying something is wrong. It's your evidence that something is being formed. Now, how this law connects to what we've dealt with from mentalism, all is mind. Polarity is how the divine mind or source expresses range. It is also the spectrum through which consciousness expresses itself. Just as thoughts can range from fear to faith, so does the infinite operate through the poles of experience. Okay, so look at things on a continuum, and it doesn't have to be linear, it could be cyclical. Polarity is the mind of God unfolding in contrast, or the universe unfolding through contrast. When we talk about correspondence, that is, as within, so without, you can't see light without the context of darkness. You understand that? You can't appreciate darkness without having experienced light. You cannot feel peace without knowing chaos. The law of correspondence is enacted through polarity. What shows up externally is a reflection of how you're balancing the poles within. Okay? How are you, what extreme are you living at? Are you balancing? We move up and down the pole, a polarity pole. Now, when we talk about vibration, that universal law as it relates to polarity, vibration says everything moves. Vibration is the movement along the poles. So your vibrational frequency moves you in one or the other direction. One is not better than the other, but it moves you in the direction that you need to deal with. So you want to move up the frequency scale, you got to become a vibrational match. And we do that in a variety of ways by our thoughts, by our beliefs, by either turning off what's feeding us externally, the false evidence that appearing real. So when we talk about vibration, it's the movement along the poles. Hot and cold are not static. They are vibrations of one and the same energy. Things freezes at, I believe, water freezes at 32 degrees, and then it boils at 100. And so there's a frequency. So if you have something that's frozen and you move down that frequency, you can take it from thawing to room temperature, and ultimately it goes all the way out and it begins to boil. So we understand that hot and cold too are not static, though it may appear to be. Okay, they are vibrational frequencies that are being held. Now, polarity sets the path. Vibration is your movement on it. Now, so you're on a path, and what you're experiencing today is your vibrational frequency outsourced. You can see it. All opposites are the same in nature, differently only in degree. So An opposites, hot and cold, may appear to be different, but they really are the same, differing only in the degree of where they're at on the polarity spectrum. You got hot, cold, you got light, darkness, confidence, fear, love, hate. Love and hate are one and the same. It's just a higher expression of that is love, and the lowest, dense expression of that is hate. Same with confidence and fear. Each is a vibrational expression of the same principle. This is not dualism. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's dualism, hot and cold, up and down. And no, it's not dualism. It's really the law thy God is one. This is the divine unity expressing in mirrored forms. Okay, hate and fear. Okay, or fear and love. I mean, fear and confidence. Fear is at this extreme. Confidence is at this extreme. They're mirrors of one another, and that's important that you come away with that. There's a oneness of being of everything. So when Isaiah writes, I form the light and create darkness, it's not a statement of punishment, it's a statement of patterns. And that's what we have to look for in life. Now, polarity is the universe's way of one, teaching you how to choose with consciousness. Two, giving you feedback about where your attention lives. It tells you where you're at right now, where your dial is set. And thirdly, it builds spiritual muscle through contrast and comfort. So if you had comfort all the time, then you will not have no spiritual muscle. But when you have contrast and you operate as a spiritual practitioner, now you're building your faith. Okay? Pain is not the opposite of peace. It is the low frequency of peace calling you to shift, saying, come up here, come down here to this end of the spectrum. Confusion is not the enemy of clarity. It's it's not that something is wrong. It's not a character flaw when you say I'm confused. It tells you where you are on the spectrum. So confusion is not the enemy of being clear. It's the precondition of revelation. Say precondition. See, many times we don't want to deal with there's preconditions that we have to deal with before we get the manifestation or the revelation. Now, in now thought, that's where I operate from. Polarity is not punishment, it's potential. So I want you to say that this morning. The polarity I'm experiencing isn't punishment, but potential. It's not to be rejected, it is to be navigated, worked through, dealt with. Your evolution depends on your ability to move along the spectrum without judgment, without self condemnation, and without fear. And these are the three we usually deal with when we see contrast showing up in our life. When we're sick or diseased in our physical body, when we hit a dry season, when it appears to be taking longer than you thought it would, you go into these conversations that are usually judgmental in nature, self condemning, or they're based on fear. In Now Thought, what I teach, we don't run from shadows, we illuminate them. We don't fear the low days. We learn how to alchemize them, how to live inside of them, how to morph them. Now, how to work with polarity. One, awareness. Name the pole you're currently occupying without shame. Example, I'm in a moment of doubt. What's the higher degree of this? That's how you work with it. You identify where you're at, and you ask what is the higher degree? What does it look like? And then you purposely, deliberately, and intentionally shift. You use vibration. How do you do that? You use thoughts, you use words, you move movement, change to shift upward on the spectrum. Okay, we're always going higher. This is the word says, source takes us from glory to glory, from this set point to the next subset point that should be higher. Now we slip up and down the scale, and a lot of that is due to external things. A lot of that is due to residual thoughts that come up from the past and they pull us back. Depends on how strong that thought is. But we have to don't be moved, but we just have to move the dial. You got to learn how to bless the spectrum of life. That is, there's no place source is not. Wherever you're at in the spectrum, source is there. So you bless this moment as part of your range. You acknowledge this is where I'm at and this is where I desire to get to. And you begin to do the work. So that's part of a strategy of how to deal with when you feel polarized or pulled in or stuck in the opposite or a lower vibration than you desire. Now, what is the take? Some of the takeaways I want you to take with you today. Polarity is the spiritual gym where your soul gains strength. So, polarity or contrast is polarity. It gives you the ability to be a practitioner. So, you know, it's not about just getting information, but the moment you begin to get information, the universe activates whether or not you should be blessed with this by giving you a practicum, a test. Okay. Now, it gives you the test based on where you are. If you, it says, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought to. Because if you think of yourself more highly than you ought to, you'll get tests that you're not ready to, that you're not prepared to pass. And it can cause a lot of personal challenge. So be cognizant of where you are. Don't think of yourself more highly than you ought to. And then don't underplay yourself. That's important. I was driving through the park this morning and I saw a cardinal. And the cardinal was beautiful. The sun was beaming down on it. And as I was driving, it was right in front of the St. Louis Zoo. I was passing that way this morning. And the cardinal was on the walking on the ground. And I heard the spirit says, when you're out of your element, you're in danger. The cardinal should be in a tree. The cardinal should be flying. The cardinal should, but see, sometimes we come out of our element for a moment. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to exercise his legs and muscles. Maybe he saw a morsel of meat on the ground. But from my vantage point, I would say he was in danger. And the Spirit was saying to me this morning that many of us, we are in danger because we don't get in and get out. We find ourselves in places that is not consistent with our potential. We're not at the other end of the spectrum because we're hanging in where the low hanging fruit, low vibrational practices. And we want to get away from that. So polarity is the spiritual gym. That's what I want you to take away from. Contrast isn't bad, okay? Contrast gives you the opportunity to exercise a truth you know. Now, if you have in contrast and then you don't have a truth, then it gives you opportunity to be open for a teaching. Like I always often ask, how's that working for you? And when I ask an individual how's that's working for them, I'm saying that the tools that you've used to date hasn't gotten you the outcomes you desire. So you've bumped into me because now the question of how that's working for you, if you're being really honest and you say it's not working, then that gives me a door to share with you. But if you say it's working for you, then I'm not going to share any more tools. I'm not going to give you any more because you don't need it. Okay, that's important. That's kind of like that scripture that says, "Don't cast your pearl before swine." They don't need it. Okay, so don't collapse at the poles. Whatever pole you at, whatever end of the strip, the spectrum you're on, don't collapse there. I want you to learn to rise as the presence who can move between them with grace. Move from where you are to where you desire to be with grace. That's what I want you to learn how to do. And grace is God's redemptive act concerning everyone. Okay? Now, here's a new thought, not a new thought, a noun thought affirmation. I'll say it once, and then I'm going to ask you to state it with me. Everything is working for me, not some things, everything. Let's say that together. Everything is working for me, not some things, everything. Now, you may know that as Romans 8:28. Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord or the law and are called according to its purpose. Come on. So we got a law we're dealing with today. We've dealt with three other laws. We got three other laws we're going to deal with this the rest of this month. And in these laws, they help us. All things work together for those who love the law, understand the law. That's important. Now, what's one opposite in your life right now that's asking to be integrated instead of resisted? Type it in the chat or write it down in your journal. If you want to type it, you can type it. If not, what is one opposite in your life right now that's asking to be integrated instead of resisted? You know, I tell my clients all the time, what you resist persists. What you resist persists. So I want you to think about that. So that's a question that I want you to deal with today. Now, this week's soul practice for polarity prep. I want you to observe your inner extremes. Where do you label something as bad or good? Anytime you hear somebody say bad or that's good, they're they're on the polarity spectrum. Okay, they don't see the oneness. They don't see that even though it's bad, it's really the possibility of good is on the same spectrum. Okay, so what's one opposite in your life right now that's asking to be integrated instead of resisted? And I want you to observe your inner extremes this week. Where do you label something as good or bad? Just observe. Don't even go into judgments. Just catch yourself when you say that's good or that's bad. I want you to bless both ends of the spectrum, okay? I want you to say out loud throughout this week, I bless the light and the shadow. I bless good as well as bad. I just have gratitude wherever you are. I bless joy and pain. Okay? The word says, whatever state that you're in, to be content. It doesn't say be complacent. It doesn't say you can't move from it. But wherever you are today, be content. Be okay with it. The fact that you acknowledge this is where I'm at, have gratitude that you have the right attitude, and then do what? You you don't become complacent. You be content. So you're going to bless both ends. And then this week, I want you to prepare for Tuesday's teaching. If you haven't been to Transformation Tuesday, or what we like to call it now, the living room, I would love to see you there. We're going to explore how to master your movement along the spectrum. You're going to get a deeper understanding of this law. So I want you to join me. So as we prepare to close this morning, I want to just pray with us. I want to give a closing prayer today. So, right where you are, just take a big breath in, hold it, now release it, and continue to breathe. Infinite presence, we release the need to escape life's contrasts. We open ourselves to the full range of our human divine experiences called life. Teach us to see with soft eyes, to hold light and dark with the same reverence, to know that our deepest tensions are often invitations for transformation. We accept the full curriculum of consciousness. We are safe in the stretch. We are growing in this gap, and we are whole in the paradox. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. So I hope something was said this morning that's been uplifting, encouraging, enlightening. If this message has blessed you in any way, consider being a blessing to this ministry. You can sow a seed simply by going to Zelle or the Cash App and put the following number in 708 368 1076. 708-368-1076. And you're sowing your seed not because of need or neither because of greed or persuasion, but you understand that you sow, you shall reap. And that's because you're a reaper, you should be sowing and not just be a keeper. All right, so let's move into the green room. For those of you who are dropping off, I want to say have a wonderful week, a wonderful remainder of your day. And no matter where you are, no source is there right with you. Peace. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, as we go into the green room this morning, thank you, Cheryl, for putting that number there for those individuals who desire to sow a seed into the ministry. As we move into the final days of August, past the halfway month. We're moving into September. September starts a new spiritual year for me, and it's been that way for years. So I'll be setting up some new things, doing things a little differently. So stay tuned there. So let's drop into the green room to see if there's any questions to be entertained this morning. Good morning, Alan. You have the mic.
Good day, brother
Go
Sean.
ahead
Love
and
and light to
unmute
you.
yourself.
I did. Can you hear me?
Okay, you there with me, Al? Yeah. I'm not hearing you on my end, Al.
I'm
Let
unmuted.
me see
Can you
if I
hear me?
got something out of whack audio wise. Yes, I do. Let's go to the speakers. You go. All right, Al, try it again. How's that?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. It was an operator error, and not you, but me.
All right, not a problem. Long as we get it together, right?
That's right. That's right.
I have a quick question. Did you say that sometimes contrariness is an opportunity to practice the principles that you know or think you know?
hmm when you have a contrast, anytime there's a contrast, anytime something is showing up different than what you desire, is an opportunity for you to exercise the law. As the word says, the Lord is my shepherd. And really what it means for those who are not, for those who are seeking on a deeper truth, the law is my shepherd. Okay. I shall not want. That means the thing that I desire, I should have. And if I don't have it, it's because I'm not working the law properly. And so it gives us an opportunity to adjust. But here's the thing, we don't want to be responsible. We want to feel as though I've done my part. Now God has to do its part. The problem is there's not two different things. There's not you and God, but you are one and the same. So the human part of you must step inside the divine side of you and make sure there's an alignment, an attunement. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Great question. Great question. Good, good. Let me look here. So if you got a question, go ahead and raise your hand. If you want to share the mic, let me see here. I have a lot of good morning salutations. I don't see any questions there. You see coming in from various places. Let me look in the YouTube side of the house to see if I have any questions out there this morning. Where you at? Okay, there's no, we got some, so we got no, a few viewers out there, but there's no questions. If you got a question, go ahead, drop it in the chat. And then I'm looking here. Cheryl, you have the mic. Good morning. All right, Cheryl.
Grand Rising,
Yes, it
Grand
is.
Rising Diviners. Yeah, I had a question about you said bless the day or bless whatever, but I want to know what do you mean by bless it? Like how do you bless it?
Blessed is just to bless it is to accept it,
Okay.
to accept the situation and not resist it. Okay. When we offer resistance, we're not open to move down the spectrum. We actually entrench ourselves at the place that we are. We accept it, we align with it, and we allow the idea that what's in my life today is
Mhm,
exactly what needs to be here in order that I can be fortified by practicing a principle that
mhm,
moves me down the spectrum. Example,
mhm,
when I had the experience of COVID,
mhm.
a lot of things could have happened. I could have said, okay, this doesn't work because I'm teaching people that you can live by faith and that sickness and disease should not be mentioned
Right.
amongst you. And then it showed up. I could have very easily kept that to myself, but I went really public with the fact that I had the metaphysical mystic had is experiencing um, this thing called COVID. And so I took some time to ask myself, how did this happen? One, my vibration, I turned towards that. I was listening to that. I was experiencing it through other people. And so I was feeding myself and I had the experience. And then two, I said to myself, perhaps the universe is allowing me to experience this to, to, to for that so that I can put the principles in practice and see if it worked. I knew it worked for headaches. I knew it worked for asthma. I knew it worked for the common cold. And I'm telling people that it works for this. And so I got that. And I stood in it. So I blessed it. I blessed it as an opportunity for source to work through me as me. Does that apply to what you're saying?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome, good,
I
good.
just don't like that word bless.
Mhm. You don't like the word bless?
I mean, like, where did it come from?
Okay. When we so what do you have something you would offer as an alternative perhaps?
I like the word favor.
Say
I'm
it,
favored,
favorite?
favored,
Mhm. Okay.
or
Um
the favor of Source Supreme.
okay.
Like people say, bless you. Like, what's that mean?
Mhm. So we do use a lot of words just as fillers, like we would say, God bless you. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at when we look at the word blessing for what it really means, not just how people have haphazardly used it, it takes on a whole nother meaning. So I would offer that we explore it. What does it mean and how we've used it? Because many times we use word that we never explore the context of what it means.
Yeah.
So in New Thought, I personally look at it from another perspective, because I believe the word blessing carries much deeper and more intentional meaning than simply something good happening. So when
Okay.
we look at the definition of blessing, to bless in a historical context, it means to consciously acknowledge the divine presence
Mm.
in a
Okay.
person, a situation, or an experience,
Okay.
regardless of the appearance. Okay, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like it's an act of spiritual recognition. And why does this matter? You may say, when you bless something, you're not just saying it's good. You're declaring, I see source in this.
Okay.
For its highest expression. I choose to align with this divine purpose,
Mm.
even if I don't understand it. So when you say, I bless the grief, I bless the confusion, I bless the shadow, you're not celebrating the pain of that thing. You're activating the higher potential. Because remember, there's not good and bad. That's there's there's places on the spectrum of polarity.
Yeah.
So that's how we look at it. So that word takes on a deeper meaning. Okay. So
Okay.
keep it in your vocabulary, keep it contextualized. All right.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Good. Let me see who else is here. Good morning, Mom. You got the mic. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And how are you doing?
Doing extremely well, highly favored, as Cheryl would say, and blessed.
I'm blessed. I just like to say this. I use the word blessed, when I wake up through the night.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because to me, I'm blessed to be as far as I am
Hmm.
or more.
Hmm.
And things that go on around me, I'm still blessed. I use blessed because I know He's watching over me, and I am so blessed to have source in my life. Now, I'm blessed, and I use the term of blessed and have a blessed day. That's me. That's coming from me. But I do believe in the word blessed because without blessing, you can't get as far as you are today, regardless of what you got coming in or going out. You got to have them blessings. Thank you, and have a blessed day, each and every one of you all.
Excellent. Yes. So we hold on to blessing, and Cheryl was bringing to our attention that many times the way it's used, it's just don't have the power behind it. But now that we have it contextualized, that we can use it in a powerful way. We are blessed and highly favored. So to bless is basically to accept the situation as part of your soul's curriculum. I don't know. That's for somebody this morning. Each one of us have the teachers call them individualized lesson plan that we have that the universe has set up for us. So we want to learn to know that this is part of our curriculum. And you want to speak divine intention into what you face. And you do that by saying, I'm blessed and highly favored. Because you can't say a situation you're not blessed because it's not going the way you want, and then turn around and say, all things work together for my good, or say things are always working out for me, even when they don't appear to be working out for me. But then you're looking at, you have a hard time saying you're blessed. Okay? So you want to refuse to curse or condemn the moment that you're in with fear, judgment, and resistance. Awesome. Uh,
Thank you.
Okay, Terrence, good to see you this morning. He said, thanks again for the blessing this morning. It's always give my love in regards to the entire family, your family and your extended family, those who you know, I know. Angie B, good to see you this morning. I believe, let's see here. Genevieve, good to see you. Well, that's all I have. I think I covered everybody who had a question. Let me see here and make sure I'm not missing anything. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get on with our day. I've enjoyed your presence as I always do, and I look forward to seeing you all on Tuesday night for Transformation Tuesday inside of the living room. Peace. Have a wonderful day, and do something that you've been putting off. Maybe straighten up that room, or go for a walk, or just chill and do nothing. I'll talk to you.
Straighten up that room.
All right. Take
Yes.
do that. All right, guys. Take care now.